All right, so I wanted to talk about in this video, this is just a talking video of projects that are coming to the channel in the future. I've been asked by several people what projects I've got coming or what I plan on doing in the future on the YouTube channel. So I'm going to get to that right now. Now, as you know, I've got two 55 Chevy car projects here. The 4-door is going to be for my wife. 2-door hardtop is going to be for me. This one is going to be pretty much a show car. This one is going to be, she'll be able to take it to outdoor shows, but it's really kind of going to be just a driver because I'm building it for us to take on vacation, on long driving trips, maybe power tour, you know, something. May try to drive it to cruising the coast in the next year or two, something like that. It's something that can sit in parking lots. We can go grocery shopping in it. She can drive it to her mom and dad's or, you know, whatever she wants to do. It's not going to be a car that if it gets a door ding or a scratch in it, I'm not going to cry about it. This one I would die if it got a scratch in it, you know what I mean? But anyway, so I've got the 255s going on. Now, I've got other things that will be coming to the channel at a later date. Now, it does take me a long time to do something because I am very thorough when I do something. I have to please myself first and foremost. And sometimes that's difficult to do because I am a little bit of a perfectionist. Not that I can make anything perfect, I'm just saying I'm a little bit of a little OCD-ish, I guess you'd say. Okay, so I have my 87 GMC square body. I'm going to have to do an engine on that soon. This old engine that's in it's tired. It smokes when you start it really bad. And it uses oil and it's making noise on the bottom end. So its days are numbered. So I will have to do an engine on that truck. Now that truck I got from my father-in-law. He is no longer with us. But I bought that from him before he passed away. He's had that truck since, I want to say, the late 90s. So that truck wasn't really that old when he acquired it. Oh good, it stopped raining. It was raining a little bit ago. So this is a pretty much mostly original 87 GMC long bed half-ton pickup. It has a 305, the original 305, and this is a throttle body fuel injected truck. Pretty much everything works on this truck. All the gauges in the dash, including the clock, the air conditioning works. It's just a great truck. My plans for the future is to do an engine, obviously, but while the engine's out, I'm going to clean and paint just the front frame stub and probably paint the inner fenders and core support and all that. I don't want to take the car or the truck completely apart to paint it when I do get to the paint side of it, because it definitely needs a paint job. I'm just going to remove like the locks, the handles, the trim, the mirrors, you know, the emblems and all that stuff, the wheel well moldings, that type of stuff. And I'm probably remove the bed from the cab, but I still want to leave it where it runs and moves, maybe just without the bed on it, so I can get a full paint job, you know, on it, the front and the back of the bed. But I'm going to do an actual same exact color code respray of the outside, base coat, clear coat, but it will be the original color. I do plan on putting the original side molding, reproduction side plastic, you know, moldings back on it, and the emblems back on it. I do have another set of the Sierra emblems that go on there. I do plan on painting the original rally wheels back the argent silver color. Probably put new taillights in it. You know, and then the interior, I mean, it's dirty now, but the seat's in great shape, the headliner's in great shape, the carpet's in really nice shape. It really just needs a dash pad, and I'd like to replace the vents because the chrome on them's looking pretty tarnished, but it will clean up pretty nice. I'll have to get a new set of these. That's had one missing since I've bought it the whole time, but I'll probably get new ones of those, maybe new chrome covers for that. But anyway, this is another future project coming, is that. I mean, that truck is 100% original. That's the way my father-in-law likes stuff, is original. It still has the jack and all the hardware underneath the hood where it was. It still has the factory air cleaner and the air duct and everything on it. And I'm just going to keep it that way. So I also have a couple of old 80s motorcycles, Japanese motorcycles. I have a Honda Interceptor. I can't remember what year in CC that is. It's either an 83 or an 84. But I don't remember if it's a 700 or a 750. But anyway, it's a Honda Interceptor. It's one of my bikes. When I was a kid, that was my dream bike. And I also have three 1983 Kawasaki GPZ 305s, which is what my dad bought me when I was 15 years old. He bought me one of those to ride back and forth to school because all my friends had gotten motorcycles to ride to school. So anyway, I don't have my original bike. We couldn't locate it. I tried. But I ended up, I've acquired 3, and I do plan on, 2 of them are parts bikes, but I do plan on building that bike and the Interceptor where they look pretty much original. The Interceptor is going to be more of a resto mod style bike. I have an 87 Interceptor 700 or 750 engine that's going to go in there. It has the better oiling system design, and the engine is still a V4, but when I paint the bike it's going to look original, and the GPZ as well. So I do have motorcycle projects coming up. Now I'm going to say the motorcycles will probably always be backseat to the cars because I am a car guy. I love motorcycles, but if I have to pick, it's going to be a car every time, an old car. So the cars will always come first, so the bikes will kind of get their way sometime. So, okay, so I've got another project car that I don't have it here yet, but it's in the works. The deal's pretty much done verbally, but I've got to do it. So several years ago, I had 5 80s model SS Monte Carlos. I still have 4 of them here. The guy never has picked them up. Now, I got on an SS Monte Carlo kick, and I wanted to build a super nice, original looking Monte Carlo. So I ended up, I just at the time, I just kept finding Monte Carlo SS's. It was like, this one was wrecked, another one was crashed, another one had been bought, but it was like they'd sold the seats and console out of it. I think the steering column and the spoiler off of it. Anyway, it was just, I bought parts cars and I bought wrecked cars, but there was one of the cars that was a real nice body with no motor and transmission. It was an 87 T-top real SS Monte Carlo. So I basically was going to take all 5 cars and the parts and make one super nice SS Monte Carlo. Now there is enough parts to build one more, and I may do that, just not a paint job build, just pretty much scab it together, whether it's 10 different colors or what, and just sell it as somebody else a project car. But I think there'll be enough parts on the secondary side of it to put another car together to sell, to have money to put into something else. But I had an 87 T-top Monte Carlo here that I'd done a whole bunch of work to. I spent one whole winter on that car in here in this garage. I took it off the frame, I blasted the frame, I painted the frame. It turned out really nice. I did all the ball joints, the brakes, front and back, all new seals in the rear end. I mean, the chassis was nice. I did all the work on the rust repair on the car. It did have rust in the floor pans up front and in the T-roof area, which is pretty common on a G-body T-top car. They usually get rusty around that T-top area. You don't ever know it until you take that trim off around there, and then you find it, and it's like, holy crap, and that's exactly what happened. But anyway, I did all the metal work on the car, had it all down to metal, did the metal work on it, and I put it in primer. I did some body work on it in some areas, and then I bolted the body back down on brand new urethane body mounts, and then I sold all the Monte Carlo projects because I needed the money at the time. I sold them to this one guy, and he came and paid me, and he loaded the 87 that I did all the work to and all of the awesome parts. A lot of the parts I'd already restored and had them in totes and in plastic bags and wrapped in t-shirts or whatever, blankets or whatever. So there's lots of stuff already done to that car. Anyway, he came and got that car and took a pair of doors and fenders and, you know, all that stuff, because it was just a shell on a frame, no motor and tranny in it. And he took it and put it in a storage building, closed the door, and it has never been messed with since. So it's been sitting there this whole time in storage. He called me a few weeks back and told me he's acquired another Monte Carlo. I guess somebody had bolted an SS front clip on it, so it's a different color, and it has a couple of dents in it. I have not seen it yet. I don't know how bad the dents are, but he wants me to pretty much just fix the dents and sand it all down and put it in one color. He's wanting like a satin paint, and he said he didn't care. It doesn't have to be a show car. He doesn't want the mirrors or door handles or nothing taken off. He just wants to tape it and shoot it. But if I do that, I get all the Monte Carlos back. I told him I was in. So it sounds like a, you know, I'll try to do a decent job on it, but you know, when you don't have to take a car a million pieces and paint it and then put it all back together, it's going to save a lot of time. And I don't have the room for it anyway. But right now he's putting an LS engine in it. He's doing an LS conversion on this Monte Carlo. So when he gets it done, it will be able to run and drive, so I can actually, you know, move it wherever I'm going to do the body work and primer work on. So that'll be a plus. I won't have a derelict car here to push around. So anyway, that is another project coming up to the channel. It's an 87 T-Top SS Monte Carlo, and I think it has just about every option you could get on a Monte Carlo SS that year. I mean, lots of options. Heavy option car. It's going to be a really nice car. But anyway, I'm excited to get it back. And then that may be about it. Now, I do have my dad's pickup. My dad has a 1982 square body Chevy, half-ton, short wide bed. He's had that truck since brand new. I took my driver's test in that truck, and there was a time that I used it for my vehicle for, I don't know, maybe a couple of months. Anyway, that truck had gotten in really bad shape, and then in, I want to say it was late 90s or early 2000s, him and my mom restored that truck, and it's all repainted, the interior's all redone and everything. And I have put, no joke, through the years, I think I've put probably 3 engines in that truck. But this last engine that we put in 6 years ago, I think is when it was a Goodwrench 350 from Summit. Anyway, we got the engine here off the freight truck, and we spent a weekend and we painted it and we put it in the truck. The bad part was when we went to start it, it was hard to crank and it just did not want to start. And when it finally did start, I tried to break in the cam. Let me close this garage door because of that train. Anyway, we tried to break in the cam and the truck ended up dying. And it acted like it had a dead battery. And I come in here and got a brand new Optima out of the box and hooked up in the truck, and it still didn't want to turn over. Come to find out, there was a bolt down in one of the intake passages of the heads, because it comes as a long block. Now it comes with these motor tabs. There's one bolted to the front and one bolted to the back for you to hook your chain into to hook it up to. Those were on it, and we removed those and we laid them on a table with the bolts. Every one of those bolts were accounted for, but it was the same exact bolt that had found its way and bent the valve and fried it. So from the factory, when they assembled that engine, somebody dropped one of those bolts down in there and did not fish it out. So yeah, I have advice for anybody. If you buy a crate engine that doesn't have an intake manifold on it, take a pin magnet and stick down in every one of them intake holes before you bolt your intake on. We learned a big lesson with that. So we ended up taking the head off of it, or I did. I took the head off of it, took it to a machine shop. I think they replaced the valve in it, had to do some work to the head because it jacked it up pretty bad. It didn't hurt the piston, didn't hurt the cylinder wall. But anyway, I was worried because I did have the truck running for probably about 5 minutes trying to break the cam in. And I was worried that, you know, with that valve hung open, that lifter's not going to be doing what it needs to do, so it's going to hard grind on that lifter. That cam and lifter, so I was afraid it probably damaged the cam and lifters. So we ended up buying an engine gasket set, and I bought a Summit brand cam and lifter kit. It was a really small, you know, they call them 1103, 1104, 1105. It was a small, actually I got the cam card over here stuck to the board. So this is the cam that I put in it, the 1101. So it's like a 398, 421. It's not, you know, kind of like an RV cam, we'll say. Anyway, that's what we put in there. Now, when I put the truck all back together, it has an oil leak. And I don't know if it's the rear main or the oil pan, but that thing leaks pretty bad. So in the future, I would like to get the truck over here and pull the engine out and reseal the oil pan and put another rear main in it and stuff. And I kind of want to paint it the body color, because that's the engine before that one, he had painted it the red. It's like a, you know, cherry red color. They had painted the engine body color and it looked really nice. But when we did the Goodwrench motor, we just put black engine paint on it and put it in there. So the exhaust manifolds are like Aluma coated. You know, it looks pretty nice under there, but to me, you know, it really needs to be painted the body color, I think, to go with the truck. And I think that's what he likes anyway, so I want to do that. So that'll be another project coming up to the channel, but it's always going to be something with me with cars. I am always on the hunt. Now, I don't have the money, but, you know, maybe one day my YouTube channel will grow enough that it will make enough money then I might be able to go out and find me a, $500, $600, $700, maybe even $1,000 another project car and go through and do something. It just depends. I have lots of cars out there that I've always wanted to build, man. I've got a 1979 model turbo Buick V6 here. It's carbureted. I actually have 3 of those engines here. So I've got enough stuff to make 1 engine. I always like the look of those. They're not powerhouses and they're not that reliable, but to me they just always look kind of cool. I would like to put that engine in something. I'd always thought that maybe, like a 30s or 40s, maybe up to the early 50s Buick would be kind of cool. To put that turbo V6 in, might be kind of cool because it's still Buick, you know what I mean? Or I'd like to get like a Model A and, box the frame in and set it up for that motor and turbo 350 transmission and just kind of keep it where it looks like a Model A with the spoke wheels and the original steering wheel and all that stuff. Modify the original, floor shifter in the Model A to hook up to the automatic transmission where it just kind of goes forward and back, but for gears. But that was kind of one of the other ideas I had. But, I don't even care if it's a 4-door sedan Model A. And if I can find an old derelict 4-door Model A somewhere, those aren't that expensive. It might be something that's affordable to do later and just build it as a rat rod. It doesn't have to be a perfect show car, you know what I mean? So anyway, I'll always have projects coming up and around. But I do have something else coming up that is, in my opinion, is going to be pretty fun. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea because my channel is about building cars, old cars. I contacted yesterday a childhood friend, and I have not seen him since the 90s, like 1999. I contacted him, and we moved away from our hometown years ago. And I met him, I was probably 12 years old. He lived about a quarter mile or so, maybe a little less, up the road from me. We lived out in the country, but he had a paved road going up past his house. Now that particular road has a lot of hills. There's one hill, it's paved. It's a long, drawn out, long hill going down to it. Well, from what I remember, it was long. I was a little kid then, it might be not as big now, but we used to ride our bikes down them hills all the time. Now the last time I rode a bike down these hills was probably 1985 with him, but we were inseparable. We did everything together all the way up until he was even at my wedding in 1992, but sorry about that, guys. The camera battery died, so I had to swap it out. See, I picked up talking about my friend. His name's Justin. I think he's a year or 2 years older than me. But anyway, I contacted him through text yesterday, and we kind of chatted back and forth through text. And I told him I was interested in us taking a couple of these bikes and, going down those hills that we did when we were kids. Now I realize, 6 foot tall, 2 guys on 20-inch boys' bikes it probably doesn't sound like a good time. I mainly just want to ride down at least the one big hill, and I know we're going to have to push the bikes back up. Back then when I was a kid, I could ride up the hill. I don't know, I can't do that anymore. But I just kind of want to do that for old time's sake, just for fun, just for fun. But I also, while I'm with him and I'm down there at our old hometown, which is Ketchum, Oklahoma, down at Grand Lake, I want to go and just kind of walk around our old school, Ketchum School. It's a public school, and I want to see what all's changed. I haven't been down there in years. I want to, video the school from outside, not inside, and I'm probably going to do it on a weekend when there's no kids there because I don't want to, cause any issues. But anyway, I just want to check out the school and then maybe just drive around some of the roads around Ketchum and just look at stuff that, some memories will flood back, and I'm sure it'll just make for a great, cool video. But I want to do that with him, and I thought that would be fun. Just kind of reminisce and take a walk down memory lane. You can't go back in time, but that'll be something that we can kind of do. There's going to be some sensations about that bike ride going down that hill that it's going to be little stuff that you in your mind you don't think of, but as soon as it's done, it's just going to be a flood of a memory, and I'm going to have a smile on my face that you're not going to be able to wipe off. You know what I mean? What I mean by that is, when you're on a bicycle, you don't have the sound of an engine. It's just, you just hear your tires rolling on the pavement. But where this place is, it's heavy woods on each side, And you know, you're going to have that sensation of the wind going past you, but you're also going to be hearing your freewheel in your rear brake hub, or rear wheel hub, making that clicking sound. And you know, it's just going to be fun, I think. Now his house, original house, it has gotten torn down, and as far as I know, it's just a field now. Like, I don't even think the driveway's even visible anymore. It's all overgrown. So I'd kind of like to go out there with him to his old place too. Now there was a place back behind their house that somebody went in with a backhoe, one of his brothers, and dug a big deep hole back there, and they would sight their guns in down there, shoot down in there, you know. And man, I could not tell you how many guns we shot down there. But in the 80s, my mom and dad had a restaurant, and it caught on fire and burnt down. And his dad, Justin's dad, my dad hired him to come do the cleanup of the restaurant. So they came and bulldozed everything, and they took it up there and put it in that pit. I would kind of like to walk out there. I don't know if it got covered up. I'm assuming it did, but it was way out behind our house out in the country. But I'd just kind of like to go out there and see if there's any of the relics from the restaurant maybe sitting there, you know, because all the old chairs from that restaurant, which was a bunch of chairs, I remember when I seen it as a kid out there at his place, it was just heaped up with chairs from that restaurant out there. So that restaurant pretty much burnt to the ground. But anyway, you know, I just think it'll be a fun video. There's lots of videos on YouTube of people going home, basically, and they video their town and their school and all that. And it's kind of where I got the idea. So I thought it'd be kind of fun. We'll go around town and look at some of the old places. And there's places we used to go to party when we were kids, you know, drink beer like what it's supposed to be doing. And so I'd kind of like to go down there too and see what that looks like down there in that place. But anyway, it's not car related, but I still think it's going to be pretty cool. And I'm kind of looking at it as that particular video is really probably just going to be for people that is from Ketchum and around Ketchum, and probably the people around my age, or you know, around that 80s era when all that stuff, what I'm going to talk about in there is, you know, I think they might be interested in it, because a lot of them people I haven't seen since like 1990. So anyway, I just thought it'd be fun, and that's what I want to do. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. This is a fairly long video of me talking as well, but anyway, that is what's coming up on the channel. Definitely got a lot of content coming, but and I'd still like to go to some old salvages and take the GoPro and video some of that stuff. But anyway, there's just no telling. No telling what might come up on my channel. Who knows? Thanks for watching.